Hello, and welcome to Lesson 2 in Learning to Read Tarot with Gypsy Spirit. Today, or in this lesson, we are going to go over the numbers, what each number means from 2 to 10, and then we're also going to learn some of the major arcana cards. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with the number 2. Now remember, we saw that the ace in the last lesson, the ace, which represents 1, is new beginning. So we'll go on with the 2. So when you get to the 2, now you're in a new beginning of a situation, whatever it is. It could be wands, cups, wands, cups, swords, pentacles. This is a 2 of pentacles, actually. And what this means, 2 is finding balance. It's all about balancing things. So you're in the beginning of a new situation, a new chapter of your life, and you're trying to find some balance. And that's what the 2 represents. Now the 3 is about unity, creativity, and growth once the balance has been found. So once you get that balance, you start getting comfortable and you're finding your groove and you're moving forward. So this is a 3 of Swords. I hate this card, but this is what I happen to pull. And we're going to discuss all the meaning of each suit to the numbers later in our lessons. So the next one is the 4. 4 is about stability and structure. So you found balance, you've started growing, things have been, going good if you have the 3. And then by the time you get to the 4, that indicates that whatever this new beginning was, you're starting to find some balance, some structure. It's in some cases you may be getting bored, but we'll get to that in another, when we discuss again what each number means to the suit. But the 4 is telling you that it's okay to take a break. It's okay sometimes we have to take a break so that we can recalibrate and move on and just get our thoughts together. So that's really what the 4 is about, is just time out. Time out and just take a little break, get some rest. So the 5, I've always been intrigued with the 5. It's about instability and change. So I know that sometimes we'll start something, or we'll be at the beginning of something in our lives, a new chapter or whatever, and we're trotting all along and everything seems wonderful, but then all of a sudden things shift. Something, somebody or something throws a monkey wrench at you, and it's like you don't know what to do. You're trying to figure out, like, what the hell happened? Everything was going so good, and you feel like it feels like somebody has punched you in the gut, and you just like want to fall to the floor. So it reminds me of a movie that I saw, The Tutors, when and at the time I was going through a breakup in a relationship because the guy that I was dating I found out was cheating very badly. And I remember watching this movie, The Tutors, and it was, I think it was Queen Anne. Anyway, Henry VIII, he was an asshole. His wife found out that he was having an affair, and he actually was wanting to have her beheaded so that he could marry this other woman or whatever. And but in the movie, she just like grabbed her stomach and fell to the floor. It was like if somebody had punched her in the gut and fell to the floor. And I remember, as I was watching that, that is how I felt at that time in the relationship, because for like a year and a half, everything was going really good. We were happy, we were laughing, everything was great. And the next thing you know, I mean, it's like, whoa, he's doing all this crazy shit. So that's what, when I see the 5, that's what I see is like instability, like instant change. And you're trying to figure out what the hell, where do I go from here? And so the 5 in many cases can mean that yes, there's a sudden shift, a sudden change, and you need to stay on top. Don't miss opportunities, because when something happens, like like in my case, what had happened in that situation, it was the universe was trying to, first of all, to get me out of that relationship, because I had had so many warnings and red flags that I shouldn't be in that relationship, but I was determined that I was going to be in that relationship. And so when the shift started happening, I already knew it. I already knew something was going on deep down inside, but I wasn't willing to face it. And so I went crazy. But when you see that 5, and you're seeing that, okay, that this is signifying instability. There's going to be change. There's instability, but the universe will put new opportunities in front of us. I guess that's the best way to look at it, is like when one door closes, another opens. So even though somebody is plugging away at doing something or trying to make something work, and it's not going the way they want it, or something has just thrown a monkey wrench at the situation, that's when they really have to stop and look everything around them. There's opportunities. There's a reason why that has happened, and the new opportunity may be a better way. Another example, I have a friend who she and her husband, they love Puerto Rico. They go there all the time, and they have a really nice home here out on Bonham Beach. And I told her one day, I said, well, you should just move out there and get a house. And they did. They went out, and because they were going out there so much, so they decided to buy a home out in Puerto Rico. And she found this beautiful home, and she was so excited. They were going to close. They were at the closing table and getting ready to sign the papers, and a glitch came up. And it was something that was just so bizarre. I used to sell real estate, and I had never heard of anything like this. And I was like, wow. And she said she was just absolutely heartbroken because she really loved this house. However, when I was talking to her, I said, yeah, but there's another house. There's a much better house for you. And she said that she realized that. So it was good that she, even though she had been working, her and her husband, they've been working on finding the house, and they got what they thought was the house. It turned out that it wasn't. And now I just saw videos of the house that she now has. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like a mansion. It's beautiful. So there was evidently something better planned. So with this card, you have to warn people that yes, even though there seems to be instability and there's change, that look at it as an opportunity of finding new opportunities, because there's something better. Let's look at the 6. So the 6 takes a little shift here. When you get to the 6, there's some harmony. Things are starting to look more on the bright side, you've made some progress, and you're like wanting to pat yourself on the back, but be mindful to, yes, take victory in whatever it is that you're doing or is going on, but don't get so cocky that you got it all figured out, because you don't. There's still more work to do. So take the time to celebrate and be joyful or whatever in what you're doing, but don't think that it's over, because it's not over yet. And so that's what that card is all about. That's what 6 means. So let's look at 7. I love 7. One of my favorite cards as far as the numbers. When you get to the 7, you're starting to manifest things. You're starting to look at what you've done, how far you've come, and like what you're thinking about, the wonderful things that you're going to have from whatever it is that you're doing. But at the same time, it's been a long haul and it's been a lot of work. And as you're manifesting these things that you want to see unfold due to the work that you're doing, you begin to wonder, are you on the right path? You know, so 7 is about looking back and reflecting how far you've come, and do you need to change anything? Sometimes when the 7 comes up, it's a question of whether you feel like, you've worked so hard and you're manifesting, and these things that you're wanting to happen, it's like you put so much work into it. It doesn't seem like the things you've been manifesting are becoming a reality. And you begin to wonder, should I just throw in the towel and start all over again? And so that's what the 7 is all about, just reassessing. Do you need to go back and tweak some things or whatever? So we'll get more into that again as we go over the suits, which each number means for the suit. The 8. Well, the 8 is a very interesting one. This is, what are you working on? Assessing where you're at. Is it time to make a move in a new direction? I'm reading my notes that I took, that I wrote out to do this lesson. So so the 8, and this is an 8 of Swords. So 8 is always entrapment, feeling that you're trapped. Sometimes when we are working on something or there's an event going on in our lives, sometimes we feel like we just have to keep doing it, like we're trapped in it. A good example, and again, I said I would talk about my dad a lot, but my dad was very ill. He had dementia, but his dementia started setting in like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I have a stepsister who she's been with him. She's taken excellent care of him from the time that it started till the day he died. And I could hear, like, we had a conversation, and I could hear at some point where she was just ready. She was tired, and she felt trapped, because she said to me, this is all I know to do, because I was trying to tell her, why don't you give some responsibilities to other people? You don't have to do everything. But she felt like she'd been doing it for so long by herself that that's all she knew. And she didn't feel like she could trust anybody else to really take over. And so, so when you see the 8, it's like somebody just they feel trapped. But there's always a way out, and that's what the 8 indicates, is that, yes, you may feel trapped, but there's a way out. Whenever I see the 8, I always think about the story of Exodus, where I think it's in Exodus or Genesis, but I'm pretty sure it's Exodus, where Moses leads the Israelites, not the Israelites, the Israelites out of Egypt. So he leads the Israelites out of Egypt, but before he does, it's like God sent messages for the Israelites to be prepared to make a very fast move, that when the time comes for them to leave, they can't stop and collect their clothes and all. They have to go with the clothes on their back and shoes on their feet, what little bit they've packed, and go. They have to be ready to move immediately. So that's what I see when I see the 8. I think of that story, because the 8, yes, you feel trapped, but there is movement immediately that you can make to get out of that trapment. So then we get to the 9 of Cups. So I'm sorry, the 9. I'm looking at I'll show you. I have the 9 of Cups. I'm still using the Alice in Wonderland deck. So yeah, I mean, this is a good picture to show you, because when you get to the 9, like you've been on this journey or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you've come through some major storms to get this far. Seriously, whatever the situation is, this chapter in your life, you've learned a lot. You've gone through a lot. You've had a lot of tears. There's been times when you wanted to be done with it. And so when I see this card, just look at this card. Like there's a lot of forest that they came through. There is some sunshine in the background, but they've come through a lot, and now they're like in a better place. You're finally in a better place where it's almost over. When I see the 9, it's telling me to tell that person that I'm reading for to keep moving forward. Don't give up, because it's almost over. And while it's almost over, and they know that they're coming to an end, they're already manifesting their next chapter. They're already thinking about, like, when this is over, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Or, this is good. What I'm going through now is going to help me in the next chapter of my life. So, good example, a friend of mine, she had to take care of both her parents. And it was like 3 years. They both had Alzheimer's. And they both died, but it was so stressful for her over the 3 years of taking care of her parents. And finally, towards the end, and she kept talking about, like, how she and her husband, they were going to go on a journey. They were going to open up a metaphysical store, or maybe buy. They were ready for the next chapter. And as time was getting closer and closer for her dad to pass away, and he finally passed away, and they got everything out of his house, got the house sold, that it just seemed like, she could see the finish line. She could see the end of the tunnel. And so that's what the 9 is. It's like you're seeing the end of the tunnel, and you're already starting to manifest what's next. And just be patient, because the journey is almost over. And so when we get to the 10, the journey is over. It's completed. So you've completed. Everything is good. You're happy. And now you're ready for the next journey. So this has been 18 minutes, and I have to be mindful of my minutes. I said that we were going to learn the major arcanas. I will do that in the next video. So, but I hope you learned something from this. Again, if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to text me or to send me a message or email me. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.